Well, first I didn't arrive to the States. I arrived to Canada. I was apprehended by the security service in Poland on, I believe it was February 10th. I get always mixed up with it as February or March 10th. It was apprehended on Wednesday morning, then interrogated for I think about 16 hours. Led later on under the premises that I would collaborate later, that I would that they would follow me or they would find something. And then I went to all the consulates that I was able to have some kind of connections with, which was French, American, and Canadian, and asked about, explain the situation that I managed to get out from the interrogation, and that on Monday I'm supposed to show up again and be continued and have the option of either collaborate or go to jail or whatever else the possibility was. And all the consulates pretty much turned me down. The US consulate didn't let me even to get in because I didn't have an appointment, so the security wouldn't let me to the gate. The French consulate told me that they wouldn't give me visa because I would stay in France, and so they couldn't give me the visa. And the Canadian consulate was the only one that said that actually they would help me and they would give me visa. And they even told me to come back in the evening to the back door and bring the passport, because I needed the passport to get money, to get money from the bank, to buy the ticket, to buy to everything. It was kind of a day-to-day impossible, mission impossible, kind of trying to find a way to get to Canada from one day to another. It was times when you were buying ticket half a year in advance. So I met extraordinary cooperation of everybody there in Poland, in bank and in the Orbis office, and they sold me a place that was, I mean, at first they left me out that I wanted a ticket for the next day, but when they found out what the story was, they actually sold me a ticket that they had reserved for some diplomats or something, and so the seat on the plane. And so I managed to get out on a basically kind of 24-hour notice, and went to Canada. And in Canada, I got the landed immigrant and spent 4 years living in a car at first. Because I came there without any without any help from the government. They basically, I had a brother there, so they basically said, well, you know, if you're running away from the country, then we can let you in, but you're basically going to your brother. So it was tough times for about 4 years. I learned English very quickly by cutting myself off from Polish language completely. I don't have very good capabilities for languages, so without cutting myself off from Polish, I couldn't learn a second language. And then I applied for university for studies. I was accepted in I think 1984, or so a year later, I was accepted for a PhD in economics in Berkeley, at Berkeley University. But I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to make it, and I thought, like, for a test run, I went to do the master's at the University of British Columbia. And by the time I finished that, that was like the 4th year, because the first 2 years I was learning the language, trying to get money, save money, and so I was so exhausted that I took an offer. I got an offer on a job, and I just took it and gave up on that PhD. I decided then later to do PhD without interrupting my work in Alberta. These were the times, kind of 94, I got the PhD. Having the master's from UBC, and then I got a very kind of ambitious, interesting job in Oregon. It was the first time I worked in the United States, but the company, the private corporation, lost the contract. We kind of were out on the streets on 16-hour notice. And then from that, I spent some time on consulting and doing various odd contracts. Then I got sort of bought out by a bigger consulting company, so I worked for that. And then after that, there was a competition for the professorship in America, in Georgia. And I was invited by one of the professors there to compete, and I won that competition. So that was, since then I was there. So that's a short, kind of in a nutshell, of the
Okay.
immigration story.
Any thoughts about the cultural shock, about the things you've learned here, apart from the language, that were not taught or made differently in Poland?
Well, there is a lot of shock. There was a lot of things I had to kill, if not murder, in myself. Like, for example, the Polish tendency of interrupting and arguing and being negative and so on. This is a different culture, different world. The destructive criticism in Poland is the highway, here is the low way. Lessons in a very simplest way, kind of lessons that I had to get here, were that you don't say no, you say yes, but, or you don't say short sentences like "I don't believe it." You say longer sentences, "I don't believe it. What do you think?" And that in a way you look at things from the point of view that it could be paraphrased. Like when you have in kindergarten, when the first time you teach communication, in Polish cartoon, kindergarten would be that the communication goes from mouth to ear. And in America, it would be rather it goes from ear to mouth. It's because the key element here would be to understand what somebody says rather than to talk somebody over. These are really great things about America, and everybody can benefit from it if they adopt it. I love Poland. I love Polish culture. I feel much better among Polish people. I mean, not to mention women are far more beautiful when they're Polish, but. In terms of temperament and interaction, and but there is a beauty in friendliness, productivity, and a sort of positive way of interacting that Americans have. That's one of the very first lessons I learned in politics in America, was that when I was saying something stupid about politics in America, it was based on my ignorance about how it works. The American who was talking to me, instead of just jumping on me and insulting me and saying, he would say something like, at first he would say, "What?" And then he would say, "Well, I guess you're committed to your opinion." And that was the end of the story. It's kind of, I realized that I have the freedom to be stupid if I want to. But do I want to? Why would I want to? So that's the beauty of the American culture, is that it is cherishing the wisdom, not the superiority in conversation.